Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here to start the thrillathon. So I hope you guys are getting your spooky little fix this week and joining me and my other lovely co-hosts for the thrillathon. If you missed our announcement videos, I will leave a link down below to all of them, although after you watch this vlog, it wouldn't be in time to participate, but regardless, in case you were interested, the thrillathon is a readathon that I have co-hosted with my lovely friends. It's now going on 2 years. This is really fun. It's just basically a spooky readathon. I'm not gonna go into the details about what this readathon is about because, like I said, by the time you see this, the readathon is over, but I will go over my TBR for the week. Now, I'm not 100% sure how all of them will fit into the TBR. I will do that probably as it goes. So what we'll do is go through the 3 main books I want to read for the readathon. My big goal this week is to tackle Babel Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is how many pages? Roughly 500. I think if I read 100 pages a day, I could finish this by the end of the readathon. I'm very excited to pick this up. This is one of my most hyped books of the year. Follows a boy named Robin Smith who was orphaned and brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, Robin trains for years in Latin, Greek, and ancient Chinese, and in preparation for the day, he'll enroll into Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. This is R.F. Kuang's response to dark academia. Usually dark academia revolves and is revolved around white characters, white history, the history of colonization. So R.F. Kuang is essentially like responding to that and talking about colonization within the dark academia genre. I'm very, very, very excited to read this. I've been putting it off a little bit, but this week is the time to do it. October is dark academia season. I don't think it's like spooky per se, but just when I see dark academia, I feel like it's like thrillery, Halloween-y type of vibes. So that is the first book. I could definitely tell you that this one is tackling scared to read because it's huge. It's my most anticipated book of the year, so I'm very, very, very scared to read it. So that's tackling that one for sure. And it can also tackle like a bunch of other things depending on what I do with this book. The next book I would like to read is Fledging by Octavia E. Butler. I have the audiobook for this on Scribd, so this will definitely be my like audiobook read of the week. It's pretty short. It's not too long. It's barely under 300 pages. I'm excited to read this. I've only read one book from Octavia E. Butler before, and I absolutely loved it. But this is Butler's take on like vampires, and I'm super excited to read that. I have not read a vampire book in a while, but I'm definitely like in the mood for vampire shit. So Shori is a mystery. Found alone in the woods, she appears to be a little black girl with traumatic amnesia and near fatal wounds. But Shori is a 53-year-old vampire with a ravenous hunger for blood, the lost child of an ancient species of near immortals who lived in the dark symbiosis with humanity. This definitely goes for BIPOC LGBTQ plus author, a spookier setting, a spooky read. It could also go for seasonal colors. It's just a lot of things that I could probably tackle with this one, but I'm very excited for this regardless. And then the next book I would like to read is the finale in a duology that I absolutely adored. I read the first book, The Keeper of Night, last year, and this is The Empress of Time by Kylie Lee Baker. It follows a girl named Ren Scarborough who is half British Reaper. This book is kind of tackling a girl that is of both worlds, and she is kind of trying to navigate her way through these 2 entirely different systems. Adored the first book. I read it last October. It was like a perfect spooky read. So I'm really hoping that this one will be just as spooky. I have the arc for it on NetGalley. I also have the audiobook for it, and it definitely tackles a bunch of things as well, but I'm going to be using this mostly for a new format because I don't tend to read books through ebook that often. It's usually only arcs. So that's how I'll be tackling that one. And then obviously, like I said, I have a bunch of graphic novels that I would like to get to. So the first one was on my TBR last year actually for Thrillathon, and I just didn't get to it. But this is Paranorthern and the Chaos Bunny Apocalypse. It's written by Stephanie Cook. She is a Toronto comic book writer, and Mary Costa, who is the artist. This can definitely count for a indie self-pub book, but basically it's fall break in a supernatural town of North Haven, and young witch Abby's plans include pitching at her mom's magical coffee shop, practicing her potion making, and playing board games with her best friends, a pumpkinhead, a wolf girl, and a ghost. But when Abby finds her younger sister being picked on by some speed demons, she lets out a burst of magic so strong it opens a portal to a realm of chaos bunnies. Seems super cute, seems like a quick read, so I'm really excited to get to that one. I might start with this one this year just as like a salute to the last thrillathon and how I wasn't successful with reading this book. I don't know. Then a bunch of us are going to be reading Fangs, so this definitely tackles the buddy read prompt. But this is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. I absolutely adore the way that this book looks. It's definitely about vampires. Basically, the back just says it's a love story between a vampire and a werewolf. So we'll see how it goes. It seems super cute, super quick. So I will definitely be tackling this one. I think this also falls under indie published as well. So great for that. And it's so beautiful. Like, this is probably like the most beautiful graphic novel I own. And then we have our 3 mangas. These are fairly popular mangas that I have only just heard about this year. And I'm super excited to read them. First, we have Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotuge. And I'm excited. So what I know about this book is that it follows a character named Tanjiro, whose life is shattered when a demon slaughters his entire family, and his little sister Nezuko is the only survivor, but she's been transformed into a demon. And from what I understand, they are like a society of people that slay demons, but he becomes a demon slayer in order to figure out a way to save his sister. Like, he doesn't want to kill his sister, he wants to save her. This manga series is absolutely adored by like millions of people. So I want to know what it's about, why people like it. I also have volume 2 on my physical TBR, so if I really enjoy this, I can jump into it right away. Next, I have one that I just heard about this year. This is Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto. Denji's a poor young man who will do anything for money, even hunting down devils. He's a simple man with simple dreams, drowning under a mountain of debt. But his sad life gets turned upside down when he's betrayed by someone he trusts. Now, with the power of the devil inside him, Denji becomes a whole new man, the Chainsaw Man. This looks really fucking weird, but I'm excited for it and I hope I really enjoy it. And then finally, we have probably the manga that I'm the most excited to start. This is Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Akuta. All I know about this is that he goes to a school and like makes a deal with the devil. In a world where cursed spirits feeding on unsuspecting humans, fragments of the legendary and feared demon Ryomen Sakuna have been lost and scattered about. Should any demon consume Sakuna's body parts, the power they gain could destroy the world as we know it. Although Yuji looks like your average teenager, his immense physical strength is something to behold. Okay, cool. So this has to do with demons and ghosts, definitely fits the thrillathon prompts. So this huge stack plus the Empress of Time is my thrillathon TBR. Welcome to the vlog. You're gonna join me reading all of these books. I am going on sprints with Lucy in about an hour, so I'll see what the people want me to read. Maybe I'll start now, maybe I won't. But yeah, welcome. Let's get into it. I have a bunch of selections, so I need help. Either I start with a bang and I read one of the comics and mangas that I have, or I start smartly and I get into one of the novels. So the first, obviously, Babel.
Oh, goodness.
This is like my intimidating read because
I didn't even put that on the TBR because I was too intimidated.
Yeah, it's for scared to read.
I'm so biased right now, but sure, let's go for that. Let's see what the
So there's this, which would be a smarter decision. Or I could start with a bang and read a cute graphic novel or the mangas that I have.
A lot of options.
Yeah.
Every part of me is like Babel. Absolutely Babel. And everything else, I don't care. Babel.
I feel like I just needed someone to tell me to do it. I'm scared because it's like my most anticipated book, obviously, but I do trust you.
It's definitely the most sensible option to start with.
Yeah. Like,
that's why part of me was like, okay, maybe do the like comic book first, just like feel good. And
yeah, exactly.
Babel. But Babel immediately, like today. Babel.
Okay, fine. So we are currently on our second sprint on Lucy's channel. I decided to start with Babel just because everybody told me to. It's the biggest book. I feel like it knocks off another prompt with joint sprints. So we're good. We're knocking that off. I'm going to read what I can today and then probably subsequently later tonight read a comic book. I might read Sheets just because that is one of the host faves as well, so I can knock out another prompt today with that. Right now, I didn't eat. I'm still not hungry. The problem with me and days off is that like I just don't get hungry when I'm not doing anything. So I'm gonna try to make some miso soup just so I can have like warm broth in my body, and then I'll continue to go read Babel.
Oh my god, miso soup!
Hello, so I realized I was gonna tell you that I started Sheets, and I didn't tell you what it was about. Basically, Sheets is by Brenna Thumler, and I don't know who the artist is, but I want to know if it is her. She is incredibly talented. But basically this book follows a young girl named Marjorie. And since her mother died, she's kind of in charge of their laundromat because her father is, it's not stated in the book, but it's very clear that he is depressed. Since his wife died and he can't run the laundromat himself, so his daughter has kind of taken it upon herself. What ends up happening is that there's kind of a series of misfortunes that happen. There is a man that wants to come in and buy the laundromat so that he could take it over and turn it into a spa, and a ghost steps into the laundromat and kind of runs amok, and that causes some disadvantages for Marjorie, and she's really struggling. You could really tell that she's dealing with a lot of sadness and a lot of pressure on herself to save her laundromat and to be the best person her family can rely on, kind of. But what this novel ends up being is an absolutely adorable story of friendship, overcoming one's fears, like growing up. I just thought this was just phenomenal. It was so cute. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 stars. I definitely found it to be heartwarming as well. I think it touches upon sadness in a way that is both telling of the age demographic that it's going for, but also extremely realistic for anyone who's dealt with that level of sadness in their life. And I think it was really, really well done. I know there's a second book in this series, and I wasn't planning on reading it. If I have time at the end of the week, and I don't feel like reading any of the mangas I have, it is a potential read for this week.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
But yeah, so I read 250 pages of that graphic novel. I am 40 pages into Babel. I'm going to continue that. If we continue the sprints, I'm going to continue that. But I will update my Goodreads, update my Instagram stories with what I have completed, and we'll take it from there. Hello, welcome to day 2 of thrillathon. Am I working from bed? Yes, don't ask questions. 2, I just finished having my morning coffee. But for my second coffee of the day, I do have something exciting that I want to do. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But I do want to talk about what I read yesterday night. So I did get to page 150 of Babel, and I'm absolutely loving it. Everybody who told me to annotate, correct, right decision. I'm just so engaged with the novel. Something I love about R.F. Kuang's writing, and I feel like I've probably mentioned this before with the Poppy War trilogy, but I just love how quick her writing is. Like, it's very dense. She's talking about really important subjects, but she has a fucking talent for making it engaging, for making you want to read. Like, I read 150 pages yesterday, and I don't feel like I read 150 pages. Like, it was absolutely incredible. So where we're at right now in the story, Robin is at Oxford. He is getting involved in like the silver making, but what we learn is that the first year students, which Robin is, aren't necessarily working with the silver making, the magic system in the book. Right now, they're just learning about translation. And I love what R.F. Kuang is talking about with translation and different languages. So if you don't know, I do speak 3 languages, one of which is my mother tongue. 2 of them I've learned around the same time, and one of them I'm extremely comfortable with, obviously. And I just think the discussions that she's having on language and how words can mean different things in different languages is super interesting. And additionally, I live in a province of Canada where my 3rd language is what is commonly spoken in the province, and I have to speak that pretty much every day. So it's very, very interesting what she has to say about like translation and how words have different meanings in different languages, and how translation is not just about direct word, but also context, meaning, situations. I just think it's fascinating stuff. I also graduated with an English literature degree and an anthropology and sociology degree. So I think it's super interesting, this idea of like academics and like what you're bringing into your academics versus what you're taking out of your academics is all extremely fascinating. And then also, in addition to all of that, there is this discussion of colonialism and what these people are doing for the sake of the crown when the crown doesn't necessarily benefit them, and how they have this technology, this magic, to help people of different countries that they themselves as the crown have colonized, and they're not doing anything to help, right? Which comes as no surprise to people who understand like colonialism and the history of the crown. But I think that it's fascinating stuff, and it's very interesting to read from Robert's perspective, who has essentially been trained to be this person of the crown and is now learning the different aspects of the crown and how it's affecting the world and what he's doing to perhaps contradict it. I don't know how spoilery I'm gonna get on it, but I'm gonna really try not to. Today my goal is to Hold on, let me get the books. Today, a bunch of us are reading Fangs by Sarah Anderson, so I will definitely get this read today, and then probably another 150 pages of Babel. And if I can, I would also like to start the audiobook for Fledging by Octavia E. Butler. I am planning on joining Kalia Sprints tonight, so hopefully I'll get a lot read later, but I will see you probably around lunchtime. I'm gonna try to work for the next like hour and a half until lunchtime, and then make that order so that we can have our little treat today. Wow, miso soup. Hello, so it's the time of the day that I'm very excited for. I made a Starbucks purchase, and I'm very excited to go through these 3 treats because I've never tried them before, and it's part of the treat yourself treat, one of those treat prompts that we have. But I do want to say that it is lunchtime for me at work, so I will be reading Fangs over lunch, and I'm very excited about it. So first we have my coffee. I'm very boring. I get a iced latte with vanilla foam and almond milk because in Canada the oat milk for Starbucks absolutely disgusts me, so I always get almond milk. That's the stuff. So we're gonna try 3 different treats from Starbucks. So the first one that I'm less inclined to try, but now that I'm touching it, it's absolutely soft and I love that, is the pumpkin scone. So we're gonna have our first taste test. This is absolutely fire. Oh my god. Okay. This is really good. So the scone, delicious. I'm obsessed. I hate pumpkin spice lattes, which is why I get a regular one, but I love pumpkin flavored things, and I can't express to you how disappointed I was the first time I tried a pumpkin spice latte. So we're gonna do the pumpkin loaf. I'm guessing this is just like pumpkin bread. So this is definitely something that I would actually eat with coffee, but it's not the most pumpkin-y of flavors. But it's super moist and I really like it. And then lastly, I got the pumpkin muffin, and I think it's cream cheese frosting in the middle. So we're gonna try it out. Now, this might be not news to some, but the Starbucks bakery products for pumpkin season actually pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is save the muffin and the scone for later, and I'm going, because I have the vanilla foam on top, I don't really want something too sweet as a snack with my coffee, so I'll probably stick with the loaf. But I'm happy to say I shouldn't have done this because I never tried them before and therefore did not have a reason to ever buy them, but now that I've had them, I'm a little obsessed with them. So this will not be good for me today, but we'll see if my boyfriend wants some later in the day. But this was a success. I'm super happy about it. I'm going to get back to drinking my coffee, and I will definitely be reading Fangs with the pumpkin loaf. So thanks for watching. I don't know. Hello, live reporting back to tell you that I did in fact finish Fangs by Sarah Anderson. Absolutely love this. So just so you know what prompts this completes, it completed the treat yourself prompt because I had it with coffee and a pumpkin loaf. It also completed the buddy read prompt because I read this with Lucy over at Looney Lucy. Not that this is a prompt, but this was also gifted to me by my friend Lauren or over at Lauren Loves Libros. So I just wanted to shout her out because she gave me an absolutely adorable read. This was just simply a joy to read. Sarah Anderson always manages to make me smile. Her like adulting comics were always like super cute and fun to read. So this was definitely like no exception. It's going to be definitely a book that I plan to pick up whenever I'm sad, just because this made me smile so much and it made me laugh and it made me happy. The comics are definitely like slice of life, daily like Instagram comics, definitely along the lines of her adulting series. So I would have loved to just have a more like running narrative or plot line within the book to give this a full 5 stars, but I still really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it a 4 stars. It was super cute. So that knocks off a couple of other prompts for today and another book for the readathon. So now I am at 2 books read. I'm probably going to work a bit more now. I have a meeting at 2, and then at the end of the workday we'll discuss what we're doing. Hello, so we're about to finish our last sprint on Kalia's sprints tonight, and I managed to read about 100 pages of Babel. I'm well into the 3rd book at this point, and there has been a lot of discussions. I don't want to get too much into discussions, especially because this isn't one of my like spoiler vlogs where I really get into the plot, but I do want to say that there has been a lot of discussion obviously surrounding colonialism and how the languages that are being used or that are the most effective at this current moment are the colonies that the people from the colonies that have been colonized. And there's a lot of interesting discussion as well as the amount of silver that is being given outwardly, right? Not given per se, being bought essentially, and how it's often the rich that acquire the silver. And in addition to that, there is one scene specifically where a bunch of mill workers are kind of protesting Babel because an advancement of silverwork technology has rendered them essentially jobless. And I think that that's a very interesting discussion and probably tying into the industrialism that happened to England after that time. What Rebecca, like as if we're on a first name basis. What R.F. Kuang is doing within this book is extremely interesting in tackling racism, colonialism, classism, and essentially demonstrating how they're all kind of tied to one another and how they are all negatively in a way affected by the crown and the advancement of England, because there is a couple of characters that often present concerns about the way that they are being used, and Robin as a main character notices it. Rami, obviously, Victoire, they're all main characters that do notice it and are obviously affected by it. I think R.F. Kuang's snarkiness is starting to come off more, especially in the footnotes, and I'm really appreciating that. I am now on page 253 and the book is about 540 pages. So I am more than halfway done the book. If I can, I would like to get to another 50 pages tonight. I'm not sure if that would be possible, but who knows? I'm definitely going to finish these sprints, probably take a breather, do some skincare just to like get ready for bed. And if I'm still in the mood to read, I will do so. But I had a pretty effective sprint tonight. There's about 5 minutes left, so I don't think I'm going to continue reading, especially because I just finished off a chapter that was pretty jarring. So we'll see what happens there. Very, very, very interested. My goal for tomorrow is definitely to try to finish Babel if I can. Read another graphic novel because I'm really enjoying this, like reading a graphic novel a day. It's keeping me fed, it's keeping me motivated, and it's keeping me feeling like I'm being successful. And if I could start the audiobook for Fledging as well, just so I can get another novel in before the end of the day tomorrow. But I do also have to edit my Lost Heroes vlog, which is pretty much almost done. I have about 10 minutes left to edit. So I could probably do that in the day tomorrow. I will see you then if I don't have any more updates for tonight. Hello, so I just finished lunch. I'm gonna get back to working. So I do think I can potentially start the audiobook for Fledgling. I did start it while I was making my lunch. First of all, I had this amazing baked tofu. Fantastic. I think I'm gonna make it all the time now, every day. But regardless, it's not about tofu right now. You care about the reads. I think I'm only like 20 pages in. And basically right now what's happening is that the young girl, Shori, I guess, wakes up and she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't remember anything. And she goes into the forest and she eats 2 deers. And so she's basically covered in blood. And a man like pulls up from the side of the road and he's like, hello, you are a child and you need help. Like, what is going on? And she's like, I don't know anything. Can I drink your blood? And he's like, no, but kinda. And then she does it, and then there's this like weird sexual thing going on. And it's disturbing because she is in the body of like, I believe, an 11-year-old. And the man calls her jailbait, and I found that really uncomfortable to read from. However, I will continue. I trust Octavia Butler. I want to see what happens in the book. Basically, I stopped at the part where they're talking about if she's a vampire, if not, and where he can take her. And she seems to have some sort of control over him. So there are moments where he like steps back and he's like, whoa, this is weird. And she kind of just like looks at him again and he's like, actually, suck my blood again, you know? So we'll see where this goes. I'm intrigued. I do, if I have time later on in the day, want to read Paranorthern and the Chaos Bunny Apocalypse, written by Stephanie Cook. She is a Toronto writer, so obviously I will be supporting Canada and also the indie publishing house that this book is from. That's one of the prompts. That's why I want to get this read today. I'm really enjoying the idea of reading 1 graphic novel a day, so this will be my TBR today, of course, along with Babbel and whatever I can get through with that. Right now I am also posting my Son of Neptune vlog, so that will go up before this one. I'll leave it linked up above. I want Starbucks again to order a coffee because listen, making coffee, you save money, sure, but I hate cleaning everything, and that's my issue. Speaking of, I didn't clean the espresso machine this morning, so I have to go do that now. I'm gonna forget again. Hello, so I wanted to give an update. It is almost the end of the workday, and while I was working today, I listened to about 100 pages of Fledgling. It seems as though Octavia Butler has like borrowed from vampire lore, but created her own type. And what I'm gathering is that Shori might be a bit different. She seems to have been born from like genetic testing between like different types of vampires and humans, from what I understand so far. At the point that we're at now in the book, something tragic has happened to Shori apart from the tragedy that opens up the book, and so Shori's kind of left in charge of a group of symbiotes, and symbiotes are the people who the vampires like eat off of. So I have laundry going in the back, as you might hear. I also have my chicken defrosting. I'm making like a yogurt lemony chicken, braised chicken with some turmeric rice, and probably like a cucumber-y salad. So while I'm making that, I'm either going to take a break and watch some YouTube videos, or I will continue with Fledgling, but I am really enjoying it. And at this point, at 100 pages, I have 200 pages left in the book. But just to read a bit before I start cooking and before I start like finishing those types of chores, I am going to start and definitely finish Paranorthern. So I'm going to start that right now. I'm listening to some sprints from like a couple weeks ago, just to keep myself motivated and in the grind of reading. So update you later. Hello. Jesus. Hello. So I did want to give an update because last night I was thoroughly exhausted and I just didn't want to update. I didn't want to do anything but watch hockey and football and chillax. So that's what I did. But before that, I did end up finishing Paranorthern, and I gave this a 3 stars. I thought it was a really cute and really fun middle grade graphic novel. It's very diverse. It has really nice messages about believing in yourself, trusting in your friends, blah, blah, blah. So I really enjoyed that. The only problem that I have with this book and why I ended up giving it a 3 stars is that I do find some things were left unexplained. I feel like it starts at a point that you are already within the characters, and I think it could have done well to have an introductory either volume to this or just a couple of extra pages at the beginning to really set the scene and explain who everybody is. I really like Silas. he's a little cutie. He is a pumpkin head who is against pumpkin spice lattes, and I thought that that was a really cute like addition to the story. But back to the confusing part. My explanation of what I rated this is confusing in itself. But there's just some stuff that needed to be more explained. A lot of the magic system and stuff like that isn't really explained. The community that they live in, stuff like that. But I don't think it matters so much probably to a middle grade audience. I just found it to be a little bit confusing. I gave it 3 stars. I would recommend. I would probably pick up something else if this author would publish another Para-Northern book, because she's from Toronto and I want to support Canadian authors. And last night I got 100 pages into this. I am now at 170 pages into this. I was listening to it this morning, and also while I'm cooking I'm going to continue listening to it. My goal is to finish this today because it's super short. It's only 300 pages, so I definitely think I could probably bang out the last 200 pages while I'm cooking and eating. I think this book is really interesting. We're definitely getting into more of the like folklore and history of this specific group of vampires. They call themselves Inas. They are essentially vampires, and they say that like humans made up this grandiose folklore about them. And they're explaining how symbiotes work. Shori is finding other communities of Inas and learning about her people, because obviously she woke up without any memory of anything. And she's starting to integrate more symbiotes into her family. So the symbiotes are starting to learn how to like get along with one another. It's very, very interesting. The part that is the most disturbing is the fact that Shori, the main character, is inside of a body. Like her body is of that of an 11-year-old. And hearing these adults talk about sexual things with her is extremely uncomfortable. So I have looked up some things because I want to know what the perception or the critique of this novel is based on that, and to kind of understand why she would choose to have a 53-year-old aged vampire in the body of an 11-year-old. And it's definitely a discussion of power dynamics and the reversal of power dynamics. Usually when we read vampire stories, they're often from tall white men. Dracula as the perfect example. Someone who is extremely privileged in society often inflicts violence on others, and have that reversed and have a small young black girl be the power of the symbiotes. And I think I get the discussion that's happening. Do I still think it's weird? Yes. Am I still uncomfortable? Yes. And I think we're meant to be uncomfortable, but I don't like feeling that way. So I will continue this. I'm definitely going to read up on like discussions of the novel, people's reviews, because I'm conflicted. Often enough, I do forget or ignore, I guess is more the right word, how old she is, but then they bring it up and I'm uncomfortable again and I hate it, and they're like, she's just a kid. I can't, but I'm going to continue because the history of the novel and the overall plot is interesting. Just this one facet of the story is very uncomfortable. Hello, you are currently in my bathroom because I am almost done with fledging. I have about like 30 pages left in the audiobook. So I decided that I'm gonna treat myself to the self-care prompt and put on little like eye masks, just because my eyes have been feeling like a little poofy and like dark, and so I just want to like revive them right now. I got these like gold masks, and listen, I don't know exactly what they do. I don't even know if these help, but I like doing them, so I will keep these on while I listen to the last few pages of fledging, so it counts for more than one prompt, and I will see you when that's done. Okay, so it's time to talk about fledging. It's time to take off my eye mask, and we need to get into this. Did it work? I don't know. This is probably the most conflicted I've ever felt when finishing a novel, and I think that's pretty clear from the updates that I've given. But as for a review, much like with Butler's other books that I've read from her, her writing is stellar. I really enjoyed the world building. I really enjoyed the vampiric lore that she includes in the book, because she essentially created a sort of like vampiric society. There's a lot of discussions on racism, feminist issues, discussions of power that I think she dives into pretty well in the book. And I do think that we're missing that from usual pretty contemporary vampiric writing. I also wish that there was some sort of story or other book available that's a prequel to this. I would have really liked to dive into the Ina, that's her version of vampires, because it is specifically the part of the novel that I enjoy the most. Butler really dives into that lore, and the way that she frames the way readers find that out was really interestingly done, and I really commend her for that type of structure. What I can't get behind, and I think that that's super clear from this vlog, is the fact that we're supposed to just read from a 53-year-old vampire in the body of a child. Might I also point out that 53 years old to us might sound older, but to the vampire, she's still essentially considered a child. And also on top of that, she loses her memory. So she is essentially recreated and has the mind of a child regardless. She is essentially innocent and knows nothing about the world that she's being thrusted into. As with most vampire novels, there is this discussion of sexuality revolving around the sense of power that a vampire has. And while I do think that Butler's doing this on purpose to evoke this sense of disgust from her readers, because Shori is still a vampire, she is still someone that has vampiric blood that is addicting to humans, and therefore essentially holds a power above these adult humans. I really think we could have went without the dialogue about how young she looks, how young she feels, how young she acts, how she's young. I feel like we could have went without that dialogue, without those thoughts from the humans. It was very disturbing, and maybe that's the point. I'm not sure, but I just feel like it would have changed nothing to have her aged up to a young adult, especially because she loses her memories and relearns everything, and we understand that vampires take a lot more time to age and grow, and therefore she could have just changed the lore so that, oh, she's still a kid in our eyes. Like, I just feel like something could have been done, because I don't feel like it made a difference that she was 10 or 11 years old. I do believe Butler was playing with this idea of innocence and toying with the idea of having a taboo subject matter to make readers scream, because we often don't discuss 300-year-old vampire men with young women. But I was just too uncomfortable with the way that this was done. It made me squirm, and I really didn't like it. I really didn't enjoy that part of the experience at all. The plot was engaging, and engaging enough that I probably would have given this a 5 stars. Like I said, I really enjoyed the discussions in here surrounding race, power, feminism. I really enjoyed the vampiric lore. I enjoyed the structure of the novel and the way that Butler framed this idea for us to learn. And if it weren't for that drastically uncomfortable shit that completely dragged down this experience for me, I would have given it 5 stars. If she would have done it in any other way, I would have given it 5 stars, but I'm sticking with the 3 stars. I think it's fair because the writing was good, the story was good, the background was good, the world building, everything but the age of the character was good. So that's where we're ending this. Because I finished this today, I want to get more into Babel. I'm not home tonight, I'm going to my in-laws, so I would really like to make a dent into Babel just so I feel more successful today, even though yes, I finished a book, okay, but it's a readathon and I always push myself, so I would like to make more of a dent into Babel so I can probably finish it tomorrow, hopefully, and then start the final novel that I have on my TBR, and hopefully I could finish it. I do have a couple of mangas left, but those I can obviously like read within an hour. I don't want to read it right now because then otherwise I wouldn't have made a dent into Babel like I want, and I have pretty much an hour and a bit or so until my boyfriend picks me up so we can go to his parents' house. So that's the goal. I'm going to try to get into as much of Babel as I can. Hello, so I wanted to give an update for today. Yesterday I got to page 350 or 400, I think 400 in Babel, and crazy revelations. I'm not going to get into too much details about it because I'm pretty much near the end of the book. My goal is to finish it today. I have 150 pages left, give or take. So I really want to get that done today. That's my big chunker of the week. And if I could finish that, then I'll be really happy. But absolutely loving it. The discussions on dark academia in general in regards to racism, colonialism, classism, that kind of thing, the canon, all of that shit that keeps marginalized people below. Absolutely fascinating. The plot line is still really interesting. I think if you like linguistics, I think if you like education and academia, you'll really like this book, particularly because it integrates all of those things with discussions on racism, colonialism, and an interesting plot. There is still murder involved in this book, so that dark academia feel is still there. I'm at the point now where the plot has really kicked off, and I'm very interested to see how it ends and how R.F. Kuang kind of ties all those themes with the plot together and how that happens. very, very, very interested. Today, while I was doing some work, I did listen to 200 pages of The Empress of Night by Kylie Baker. This is the second book in a duology. The first one was The Keeper of Night. It basically follows a girl who is half British Reaper, half Shinigami, and she has kind of taken over the role of the goddess of death. And in this book, we're really following from where the last book ends. Kylie Baker's writing is extremely easy to read. I find it similarly with R.F. Kuang. I just find their writing to be really easy. I'm listening to it at 3 times speed, and I just feel like I'm listening to it at normal speed. Everything flows so perfectly. The story is so interesting. The plot is really engaging. What Ren is doing in this book is really about fixing the mistakes kind of that she has in the last book and trying to save herself and her brother from the British Reapers that are trying to invade Japan to catch her. And I definitely think that the themes of colonialism are present in this book as well. Ren talks a lot about being half white and half Asian and how that affected her even if she is part of like this fantasy universe. And I think that that's really interesting on Kylie Baker's part to bring that up. And I think the discussions of colonialism, British invading, will have a specific discussion point about that. So I'm very, very, very engaged in both books. I definitely want to stop listening to The Empress of Time. I'm almost done work for today, so I think as soon as work is done, I'm going to really crack down and try to finish Babel today. Hello, so I just woke up, but I did want to talk about last night. I went out with my boyfriend. We know the drill. Did I take a video? No. Did I vlog that I have a social life? Absolutely not. But when we came home, I did end up finishing Babel by R.F. Kuang. Look at these tabs. I highlighted this book was amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Obviously, I didn't expect anything less. Was I scared? Yes. But if you don't give this book 5 stars, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Like, you're just wrong. You need to give this at least a 4 stars. Otherwise, I don't agree with you at all. Like, this book is absolute perfection. R.F. Kuang has amazing writing. We know this. If you read the Poppy War trilogy, you know this. Her writing is so easy to read. And even though she's talking about, like, linguicism and academia and stuff like that, like classism, it's so easy to understand. And even her footnotes where she's talking about, like, history and, like, facts and stuff like that are still very, very easy to read. And I think her snarky humor is present throughout the entire novel, even though there are, like, darker and deeper subjects being discussed. Her snarky humor is relevant within the footnotes. It's talked about within the book. There's several times where R.F. Kuang made me laugh. I just think she's a brilliant writer. The characters in this book were really amazing. At the like 200-page mark, I was just shocked every 5 seconds. She really, really pulled out her best guns here. This was fantastic. I don't want to really get into the ending. I don't want to like spoil anything or talk about my feelings towards the entire book in case there is any spoilers that I might say. In general, I just think that this is a brilliant piece of literature. And I just think that the discussions in the book on colonialism, racism, stuff that I've spoken about throughout this vlog, very prevalent, very on the nose, very interesting. I absolutely love this book. It was perfect. My one qualm is with Indigo. I bought the Indigo exclusive edition. It's not that it's a different price, but I always buy it just in case there's like something extra. In this one, all that was extra was they had a character list. And I was like, because I don't read the explanation of what the Indigo exclusive edition is going to be. It doesn't matter because it's the same price. But like, if you're going to put an Indigo exclusive edition, like what the heck is this? Anyways, 5 stars, absolutely love this. So now what I'm going to do today is I have some things to do around the house. I have to do some laundry, have to wash some dishes that have been in the sink for quite a bit. And so I'm going to listen to The Empress of Time. Like I mentioned yesterday, I read 200 pages of this book. So if I could finish it today, that would be great. But there is still 2 days left in the readathon. I would really like to read till whatever I can while doing my chores and then seeing if I could squeeze in a manga before I have to go out tonight for one of my friend's birthdays.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So we're gonna get on with that. I do have to leave at like 4:30 and I do need to get ready before that. So we have about 3 to 4 hours before I need to go out. So we're gonna get to this. We're going to listen to the book. We're going to see what can be done. Hello, so I wanted to give a quick update. I did get 100 pages into The Empress of Time. I'm going to stop there today unless I decide to listen to it while I'm walking, but I'm probably going to take a break and listen to some music. So far, amazing. I absolutely love Kylie Baker's writing. I think I've said it already in the vlog, but I think she does an excellent job at pairing like fantasy with history with like real historical like events, but also like the discussions on colonialism and racism, I think, are pretty prevalent in the book, set in this very, very, very fantastical setting, but that's also based on like Japanese folklore. I just think it's really interesting the way that she ties everything together in a way that's like coherent, but also engaging and exciting, and including like gods from folklores and how they intervene and stuff like that. So I'm going to my friend's house now because we're gonna go shopping and then go to our other friend's house. So while I'm on the bus, I do think I could possibly read Demon Slayer. Should I bring it or should I not? I'm not 100% sure, but I think I might bring it just in case. But I don't know if like I have the balls to read this on the bus. Hello, so this is the part of the vlog where I need to interrupt and take you along a journey of my Saturday and what happened at the end of the vlog. So, as we see here, gallivanting in the metro, living life. Then I come out of the metro, beautiful fall scenery, walking to my friend's condo, gorgeous. Here I am sipping on a beautiful cappuccino that my friend made me. It was glorious. Oh, what's this? Oh, this is me in the hospital. I ended up going into surgery for that night. Yeah, and it was probably the scariest moment of my life. But I was so high on morphine that it really didn't matter. And I quickly got over it and was trying to film my extravaganza. This is me twinkling my toes right before surgery. So what ended up happening is that I did complete 2 more books after that. I read Demon Slayer, which I gave a 3.5 stars. I thought it was a solid start, but I was also super high, so I don't know if I truly enjoyed it to the breadth that I think it deserved. And then on Monday, I actually finished The Empress of Time, which I gave 4 stars. I thought it was a solid ending to the series. Really enjoyed it. I just had some minor complaints about like the structure of it, but overall it was a really enjoying read. But yeah, so I'm perfectly fine now. Here's a video of me dancing at a Halloween party. Obviously I can't bend down too much, but I'm doing perfectly fine. I survived the surgery. I am revitalized, really living life. So super happy about that. But this is the end of the vlog, so please let me know down below if you participated in the thrillathon. What did you read? What did you do? Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun? If you would like to follow me on any of my social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. As usual, I always really adore it, but you know, I just came out of surgery, so it would be nice if you would do that. And that's it. I don't know how to end these things, so I will see you next time. Okay, bye!